Today I'm going to tell you the story of northern Myanmar, or Burma, where prostitution, drugs, scams, and gambling thrive, where Chinese criminal groups and warlords kidnap Chinese people, and the Chinese government turns a blind eye. Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. These are Chinese TikTok and Douyin accounts detailing how great the life in Myanmar really is, how much money they're making without needing a degree, and how great the surrounding environment is. But behind these videos is a woman named Wei Rong. She's the head of a criminal syndicate from one of the 4 Chinese families running Upper Burma. These videos are enough to attract people to fall for a scam, the dream of meeting beautiful girls and guys in the lush valley of northern Burma. Young and stupid Chinese guys and girls decide to go there. Our main guy in the story, his name is, let's just call him Sam. Sam was connected with a company based in northern Burma, and it was arranged to make him go there. He first landed in Yunnan's capital city. Then the bus will take him and many others just like him, filled with a dream of seeking a better life, to a small town at the border in Lantang County. There, a small river separates the border of China and Burma. At night, a smuggler takes everyone to the other side of the river, and another bus waits them there. And then in just a few hours, they arrive at the Economic Development Zone in northern Burma. It's called Mumpok, and that's 10 kilometers from the border of China. Now, the whole process of getting across the border was unbelievably easy. There isn't a single guard in sight. But when they arrived at the guarded gate at the compound, here, men in black with rifles stop and check the bus. Unlike the TikTok videos, living conditions in northern Burma are not actually good. Sam suddenly realized that this isn't the free and prosperous videos anymore. The next morning, after touring the town, the group of workers realized that something is very odd here. Even though they're in Burma, everyone spoke Mandarin. And that afternoon, they're taken to a 21-story building, and this is where they will make their money from now on. The first floor is a casino, with guards armed to the teeth. The second floor is the cafeteria. The third floor and up are all offices. Everyone sits quietly in front of a computer. Some are chatting, and others are writing. The entire mood is very gloomy and off. Here, most people are from China, from the Fujian province. Some also traveled all the way from northeastern China or western China. And here they do 2 things: online gambling and scams. There's horrible sounds coming from behind the walls of people getting beaten up. And for the next 6 months, it was hell. Now, fortunately, Sam, unlike others, he got to escape to tell the story. He made it back to China without a single part of his body missing. Others aren't so lucky. Many are still stuck in Burma today. Men work scam calls and online chats while women are sold as sex slaves. Now, my Twitter direct messages, you often have these fake profiles with 0, 1, or 2, or 3 followers messaging me, and they're likely part of the scam process. Some of them invite me to use WeChat, which obviously I'm not going to use, but these are some of the examples of low-level scams. But the most notorious groups operating out of North Burma, where Sam was kept, is actually northern from where he was, in the Kokang region. Now, the CCP leverages influence through these North Burmese warlords, at the same time extending its influence to Burma via the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, it claims that they have asked Burma, or Myanmar, to solve the scam network and trafficking issues. But like all the other issues that came out of the mouth of the CCP, they've done nothing concrete about it, and they've actually turned a blind eye. Now, one of the criminal warlord's son is in fact studying at Beijing University. So it tells you that they're practically in bed with each other. The communication network used by the fraud groups in northern Burma is actually provided by the 3 major telecom operators in China. All you have to do is cut their communication lines, and without the network, they can't commit fraud anymore, right? But the Chinese Communist Party has never done it. And Myanmar has recently joined the CCP's Belt and Road Initiative, at least since 2018. And the CCP has many investment projects in Myanmar, and is reportedly accounted for more than 26% of Burma's total foreign investment. So the CCP is not willing to offend the Burmese government. And secondly, the Chinese Communist Party's excuse is that once they cut off the communication, it will have a fatal impact on the local residents and businesses, and it will cause a humanitarian disaster. But your own people are being scammed, slaughtered, raped, and abused. The CCP doesn't care. The question is, who is running these criminal syndicates? Well, they're actually Chinese warlords. They're Chinese people, and they've established themselves for more than 100 years in this particular region. Now, Upper Burma is the safest place to settle for many criminal groups. Northern Thailand, Burma, and Laos form the Golden Triangle, where drugs and human trafficking take place. Now, the scams and the casino businesses, they're run by Chinese people, And in fact, they're all over Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. But what makes northern Burma so special is the proximity to China, as the Chinese Communist Party, like I said, is colluding with the warlords' families here. And the Burmese government has basically been unable to control the region, called the Shan State. Because Myanmar is divided into many regions and factions, the area in North Burma is called Shan, and it consists of 11 divisions. One of the most important, the one we focus our story on today, is called the Kokang district. Particularly in that Kokang self-administered zone and its major town, Laokang, that's where some of the worst things happen. Here, to the outside world, there are so-called industrial parks. In fact, they're actually just fraud syndicates. And in addition to these scams and online gambling, prostitution is also one of the mainstay of the local industry. A large number of gamblers, pleasure seekers, and adventurers from China and Southeast Asia will come here. And there's two main types of fraud specifically. The first one is just for online gambling. What they do is basically set up a online chat on WeChat, and then they try to lure in people who are addicted to gambling. And they will look like, many participants are in this group, but actually they're all set up because other users on there are all scammers, and they're targeting this one junkie who's trying to get into betting. Of course, the profit margin from that is quite small. The other one, the big one, is called pig butchering, and this is the main business. It's called pig butchering scam. Here's how it works. So they start out by luring gay men online, but in recent years, that kind of aspect has stopped working, especially after the pandemic. So the target now has shifted to middle-aged women in China and outside of China with a lot of money. Using location software, these scammers will profile the individuals and tailor a person to try to fit the persona that would attract those women. And the scammers will have to know every detail about the persona that they have, where they live, what street they live on, things like car license plate, who is their professor at their alma mater, where do they work, and all of these things. And they filter through a list of chat users and check their photos and videos. So obviously, if the person still takes buses to work, they're not rich enough. But once they find a target, it takes months, perhaps even a year, to cultivate the scam process. First, the scammer is going to pretend to be some rich young guy approaching them online via WeChat, and they make up this whole backstory about how they just recently broke up and they need some comfort. And first, it develops into a friendship, and they will even send each other birthday gifts or exchange cash or small amounts of gifts on a regular occasion, and the scammer will even go order takeouts for the woman. But eventually, the woman being scammed lands into the love trap, of course, thinking that they've met their dream prince, a young, handsome, driven, rich boyfriend. And Chinese people love using voice messages rather than texting, so they will send each other voice messages, like good morning, good night, etc. Now, you might be thinking if you can just FaceTime them, you would probably see through their lies, right? Well, it's not that simple. Well, most of these women don't want to show their faces online in fear of their own looks or because they simply just don't want to show it, and the scammers prey on this. Now, here comes the pig butchering part. After a while, the scammer will chat and mention how he finds a loop in an online gambling platform, and he's going to ask a woman to make a bet with the scammer's money. And then what happens is she's going to win, right? The scammer gets paid, and then the scammer will celebrate by sending her some money. And at this point, the woman doesn't actually need to spend any money from herself, but she is curious. Eventually, she's going to say that she wants to make her own bet, and the whole thing is obviously rigged. She actually wins some money in the beginning, a few $1,000s, and the scammer will continue to let her play. And then every time they win, they're going to send some of that money to the woman. Once that defense over money is gone, it's time to go for the kill. They ask the woman to spend a big amount, like 1 million RMB. And of course, she's going to win again. But when she does go to draw that money out, the platform will tell her that due to suspicion of an exploitation in the online system, her funds have been frozen. And in order to withdraw that initial deposit of the winning amount, she needs to give 50% of the principal as a deposit. Now, if the principal is $1 million, then you'll have to put another $500,000 as a deposit. At this point, the woman will be in a state of confusion and she will comply. And she's going to not hesitate to take out another 500,000 into the platform. But then again, that's going to reject it by the system. So it's going to keep telling her to deposit more. Eventually, she's going to be out of money at some point, right? So that's when the scammer jumps in and says, you know what, let me add my own mortgage and my car as payments to pay for you. And so because they're demonstrating this, that this caring boyfriend is willing to help using his own assets to pay for her, she's going to get so touched and then offer to pay with her own car and house as well. And when she does, the scammer and the platform will disappear from the internet, never to be heard again. And of course, she has lost everything. Afterwards, the money, let's say 1 million RMB, is divided, then the warlord will take 30%, the owner of the casino company gets 25%, some of the managers get 12%, but in the end, what's left is maybe 200,000 yuan, and that's divided among the workers. So this is their major source of income. But again, the scam doesn't just stop at scamming other people, it's also scamming the workers, right? People like Sam are essentially enslaved after being fooled to come here, and they work against their will. And if they want to go back, the criminal group will blackmail the family, asking for payment. Now, some are even sold here and forced to become scammers unwillingly. But the price for a Mandarin-speaking Chinese who can type on the keyboard is about 30,000 to 50,000 RMB. And so that's about 4,000 to 7,000 US dollars per person. That's for a living human being. But the sad part is that once they have no use or do not want to comply, they're just murdered for their organs. There's a famous term, it's called cutting cashew, and it comes from this, because cashew nuts, they're shaped like kidneys. Girls are raped and beaten. There was one Taiwanese girl, according to the Global Anti-Scam Organization, she was tricked into coming to Burma, only to be sold 4 times. Now, one of the most notorious criminal group is run by a lady named Wei Rong. Now, she's the most feared person in northern Burma, because she's the daughter of one of the biggest warlord families in the region. Chao Ren-wei is the head of the family. Now, Wei Rong runs the Henry Group, which is one of the most powerful gambling and fraud syndicate in the region. And the Wei family is a part of that long history of Kokang filled with criminal activities. And of course, its former rulers have had a long history dealing with the CCP, dating all the way back to the 1950s. Now, following the reform and opening up era in China, the Kokang region became this lucrative business for casinos and loan shark businesses, which is to cater to tourists from China with money or simply borrowed money from other people. Those that come to seek pleasure will lose money, and they will be approached by loan sharks, which again will cause them to lose more, and so they're held ransom. Those who want to go home will have to pay, and those that didn't pay will work as slaves. Some of their organs are even taken away from them. So the CCP surely does not care about the lives of the Chinese people. But the question is, if they do solve this problem, right, rescue those people, wouldn't that be a boost in public opinion, and it can improve their image, right? Why doesn't the regime want to do it? I think it has to do with the CCP's historical narrative. When the Cambodian Communist Party in the Khmer Rouge murdered 300,000 Chinese, the CCP never did anything, right? If China rescues its nationals in Burma, it will make people realize that rescuing nationals is a higher priority than respecting the sovereignty of other countries, and that respecting the sovereignty of other countries is not the highest priority, but it's one that is conditional to situations. This will contradict what the CCP always emphasizes, that their sovereignty is the most important, like the claim for the Taiwan issue to be an internal issue, or that the South China Sea is one of sovereignty issues. So the CCP can never break that to rescue their own people, as it breaks the narrative they built from that perspective. So what I'm trying to say is the CCP doesn't care about its own people, and it will never try to solve issues like this that actually matter to society. All right, that's it today for our episode on Northern Burma. What's happening there? If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel today. I'm David Zhang. This is China Insider. We'll see you next time.